Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see two symbols appear. The @ symbol will mean your comment or question will be posted publicly for others to see. The email symbol means your comment or question can be sent directly to the person of your choice from the list that will appear. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now this bit is for the parents, guardians and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned. Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see two symbols appear. The @ symbol will mean your comment or question will be posted publicly for others to see. The email symbol means your comment or question can be sent directly to the person of your choice from the list that will appear. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now, this bit is for the parents, guardians, and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned. Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see two symbols appear. The @ symbol will mean your comment or question will be posted publicly for others to see. The email symbol means your comment or question can be sent directly to the person of your choice from the list that will appear. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now, this bit is for the parents, guardians, and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to the Learn Live channel and to today's Safe and Sounds Winter Driving Special broadcast in partnership with Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Service and Staffordshire Safer Roads Partnership. The Staffordshire Safer Roads Partnership is a collaboration of a public sector organisations within the Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire area with a common aim of improving road safety. The main partners are Staffordshire Police, Stoke-on-Trent City Council, Staffordshire County Council, Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Service, and Highways England. These partners have all contributed films to today's broadcast. But first, before we begin, please remember that if you have any questions, please use the live chat next to the video player. If you leave a question in the chat, one of our speakers will get back to you as soon as possible. So now, I'll be handing over the rest of the broadcast to Louise Martin. Louise works for Staffordshire Safer Roads Partnership as the Education and Training Coordinating Manager, and she will be hosting the rest of this special Safe and Sound broadcast. Over to Louise.
Thanks, Stuart. Hello everyone. Welcome to Safe and Sound's Winter Driving Special on Learn Live. I'm Louise Martin from Staffordshire Safer Roads Partnership. During the winter, we can all experience more challenging driving conditions due to the longer, darker hours and poor weather conditions. This broadcast aims to provide you with information and tips on how to prepare yourself and your vehicle for this. It's also Road Safety Week. And while road safety is a vital topic 52 weeks of the year, it does give us an opportunity to consider our actions that we can take to keep ourselves and others on the roads as safe as possible. During the programme, if you have a question, please feel free to ask it by typing into the live text area of the screen. We've got films from many partners, but we're starting with essential information on winter driving checks for your vehicle and you. And this is from Staffordshire Fire and Rescue and Highways England. Our colleagues, Tom from Staffordshire Fire and Rescue and Siobhan from Highways England, are going to take us through some safety checks for your vehicle and you. First, an introduction from Tom.
Hi guys, my name's Tom and I'm a Community Safety Officer with Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Service, and this is a short video about winter driving safety. As we head into the winter now, it's important that we make sure that we're prepared where possible to make sure that when we're on the road this winter, we're keeping ourselves safe and in turn other road users safe. Now, we promote road safety all year round, you know, it is important, but as we go into the winter, it's even more important because there's extra criteria. There's going to be adverse weather conditions, it's darker for longer, so it's even more important that we prepare ourselves and our vehicles and our journeys before we head out this winter. So we're going to go through some of our top tips to make sure that you and your vehicle are ready for the winter ahead.
Vehicle checks can be remembered using the word forces. Fuel.
In 2015, there were more than 7,000 breakdowns on motorways due to vehicles running out of fuel. Always try and keep your tank at least 1/4 full. If you're going on a long journey, make sure you fill up before you go. This will help you avoid breaking down on a busy road or motorway and potentially putting yourself and other road users at risk. For more vehicle checks, search online for Think.
Oil.
Another vehicle check that we can do is checking oil, and this one's really important as well. The main function of engine oil is to lubricate the moving parts of the engine, and there can be some quite serious consequences and damage caused when oil's not regularly changed and the oil levels aren't kept to an appropriate level. And it's really simple. Most cars will have a dipstick that you can pull out, wipe down initially, pop the dipstick back in, rest it for a second, bring it back out, and there'll be a reading here between minimum and maximum. Okay, so we can see here that there's sufficient oil in this engine. Now, it's important to remember that oil checks are done when the engine's cold. It can be quite dangerous, and you won't get a proper reading if you were to do it while the engine's still warm and the oil's still hot.
Rubber. Tyre pressures.
Another important part of the vehicle maintenance checks is tyres. Tyres are the single point of contact with the road for the vehicle and are statistically the most common vehicle defect linked to fatal crashes, despite being one of the most simple to detect and rectify. So there's two main parts of tyre maintenance checks: tyre pressures and tyre tread depth.
Driving with underinflated or overinflated tyres can affect your braking distance, your steering, fuel efficiency and the lifespan of your tyres. You can check your tyres at home or at your local filling station using an air machine. The process is exactly the same no matter where you do the check. First of all, you'll need to find your vehicle's recommended tyre pressure. You can usually find this on the inside of your driver's door, on the fuel cap or in your owner's manual. Set the air machine to the recommended tyre pressure. Unscrew the valve caps on each of your tyres. Firmly attach the air pressure gauge to the tyre valve. You should hear a little hiss as it connects. The machine will give you a reading before inflating your tyres to the correct pressure. Once your tyres are all correctly inflated, you're good to go. For more vehicle checks, search online for Think.
Tyre tread depth.
So the second part of the tyre maintenance checks that we can do is with regards to the tread depth on the tyre. The law states that there's a minimum requirement of 1.6 millimetres of tread across the central 3/4 of the tyre. Okay, now the best thing that we can do in this circumstance, if we're unsure whether our tyre tread meets the legal requirement or is safe, is to get them checked at a tyre garage free of charge on a tyre check. Alternatively, there is a way that we can check this ourselves, and it involves 20 pence a piece, and I'm going to just show you that quickly now. So to check your tyre tread depth with a 20 pence piece, it's really straightforward. You want the inner border of the 20 pence piece not to be seen, okay? So you place the 20 pence piece in the tread, and you can see there that we can't see the inner border, so that this tyre tread has got sufficient tread depth, okay? And you just test that all the way along your tyre, and if at any point you can still see the inner border of the 20 pence piece, then there's insufficient tread depth at that area, okay? As an example of insufficient tyre tread, this tyre here, as you can see, we use the 20 pence piece, place it in the tread, and we can still clearly see the inner border of the 20 pence piece all the way along the tyre, which indicates to us that this tyre has got insufficient tread depth. So not only is that a safety concern, it's also a legal requirement. So this car no longer meets the legal requirements to be on the road.
Coolant.
Another aspect of the vehicle checks is the engine coolant or antifreeze, to make sure that that's kept topped up at an appropriate level, and that's also found under the bonnet. There'll be a minimum and a maximum reading there to keep your eye on. The engine coolant and the antifreeze are, again, very important. Not only do they prevent the engine from overheating, the antifreeze that's often added prevents the water from freezing in the winter and causing damage to the engine. So ensure that that's checked and topped up sufficiently with water or antifreeze as required.
Electrics. Battery.
So the vehicle maintenance checks then, one of the most basic things that we can do is check that a battery is in working order. It's important that we do this because batteries don't last forever and it may need replacing. The cold weather can often be the cause of a battery to fail. So if possible, take your battery into a garage, ask for that to be checked. Most garages will do this free of charge, battery check, and if required, replace your battery for a new one prior to the winter.
Electrics. Lights.
Your lights are not only essential for you, but also for other drivers, to understand how you intend to manoeuvre. To check your lights, ask a friend to help you, or park your vehicle facing a reflective surface. Check your lights in sequence, starting with your indicators. Then check your hazard lights, then check your headlights, side, dipped, and full beam. And your fog lights. Press the brake pedal to check your brake lights. Then put your car in reverse to check your reverse light is also working. If they all are, then you're good to go. For more vehicle checks, search online for Think.
Screen.
To ensure that you have good visibility, you should always keep your screen wash levels topped up, so you can clean away any dirt or debris from your windscreen. To check your screen wash, turn on your windscreen washer. Even if you do have some fluid, it's always good to top up just to be safe and ensure you don't run out on your journey. Pop the bonnet open and find the screen wash reservoir. It's usually brightly coloured and has this symbol. It may be difficult to see the fluid levels, but the reservoir can be filled right to the top. It's best to use a mixture of water and screen wash detergent. Turn on your windscreen washer and make sure the water flows. Once that's done, check your windscreen wipers to make sure they're not dirty, worn or damaged. And you're good to hit the road. For more vehicle checks, search online for Think.
To finish, Tom is talking about preparing an emergency kit to carry in your car over winter.
So we talked earlier on, and one of our tips was to prepare an emergency or snow kit if you've not already done so. And here we've got an example of exactly what we're talking about there. This kind of stuff can be put away into a box, placed in the boot of the car, and just mind its own business, but there for emergencies. So what sort of items should you have in an emergency or snow kit? Well, it's exactly the sort of items we've got laid out here. So for example, jump leads. Jump leads are a majorly important piece of kit. Should your battery go, you've got that option there. A torch, always important to keep a torch somewhere in your vehicle, just in case you were to break down at night time. That's going to be useful. Other pieces of kit include de-icers, scrapers, demisters, just to make sure that you can see at all times and your view's not restricted. Here we've got a spare bulb kit, which is brilliant, and we always recommend, if you can, get hold of one of these and keep them in your car at all times, just in case you need it. We've also got spare clothing, warm clothing, so we've got gloves, we've got a hat, a coat, just in case the worst was to happen and you were to break down in adverse weather conditions, maybe in a rural area. It could be that recovery is some time away and you might have to wait, so it's important to make sure that you've got suitable, spare, warm clothing should you need it. Also, we've got water and snacks here. Again, you could be waiting some time in a potential breakdown situation, so always handy to have that. And as well, we've got a shovel, just to give you that chance to get yourself out should you become stuck at any point. So all in all, that's the contents of an emergency snow kit. There may be more that you feel useful, which there's certainly no end to this list, there's no definitive list. Any pieces of equipment that can be useful in a breakdown situation, including a snow kit.
Many thanks to Tom and Siobhan for that. Next, a short film focusing on practical driving tips in difficult conditions. And this is presented by motoring journalist David Motton on behalf of Staffordshire Safer Roads Partnership.
Less than ideal weather conditions are a given in the UK. If it's not raining, which let's face it, probably is, you might have to deal with ice, snow, fog, or even occasionally low sun. In the wet, grip with the road is reduced, meaning slower speeds are necessary to stay in control of your car. If you drive too fast through standing water, you risk aquaplaning. This is where your tyres lose contact with the road and your steering suddenly goes light. To regain grip, don't brake. Ease off the accelerator and allow your speed to reduce until you gain full control of the steering again. With all driving, a cautious and controlled approach is best. This is even more true in frozen weather, as stopping distances are doubled for wet roads and multiplied by 10 for snow and icy conditions. Therefore, brake, steer and accelerate as smoothly as possible. Use the pedals gently and always be scanning well ahead for danger so you don't have any jerky steering or harsh braking. Also, watch out for black ice. Although you can't see it, if the temperature is very low and the road looks wet, proceed with caution. There could be black ice. In snow, accelerate gently to a safe speed and keep safe stopping distances between you and any vehicles in front, leaving as much as 10 times the normal recommended gap. When approaching a bend, brake before you start to turn the wheel. If your car does lose grip, try not to panic. The key thing is to take your foot off the accelerator and make sure the wheels are pointing in the direction you want to go. In fog or when visibility is severely reduced, it's important to keep your speed down. Remember, always be able to stop in the space you can see will remain clear. If you can't see the road clearly, it's fine to be going well below the speed limit. You should only use your fog lights when visibility is 100 metres or less. Know how to turn on your fog lights before you can't see. Look for this guide. When the setting sun is getting low in the sky, it can be dazzling, especially if you're driving right towards it. Your car's sun visor can help, but if the angle of the sun is too low, Sunglasses are the way to go. Keep a driving pair stashed in your glove box. A dirty windscreen can make visibility worse because all the grime turns practically opaque. Make sure your windscreen wash is topped up, but ideally clean your windscreen before setting off. It's not just you having a hard time seeing. Other drivers will be struggling too, as the day ends and light levels start to drop. Help to be seen by putting on your dipped headlights. You can do this well before it's actually night. As it darkens, it can be much harder to judge speed and distance. Going out on familiar roads after dark is a good way to practice. Watch out for cyclists and pedestrians, as these can be especially hard to spot at night. Always be reading the road ahead and looking ahead for potential hazards.
Thanks, David. And now over to Inspector Mark Joinson from Staffordshire Police. He's talking about eyesight in driving and ensuring good visibility when driving in poor weather.
Hi, my name's Mark Joinson from Staffordshire Police's Roads Policing Unit. At this time of the year, with the clocks going back and the dark nights coming in, it's really important that you keep an eye on your eyesight. Over time, your eyesight can deteriorate. The test for eyesight in relation to driving is to be able to read a registration plate at 20 metres. That's roughly 5 cars, average size cars, end to end. At this time of the year, we can drive in more challenging weather conditions. It's really important that the inside of your windscreen is kept clear, so you're not dazzled by low sunlight. It's also important that you start to drive your car, that there's no ice on the windscreen, that it's clear, that you have a good, clear visibility to start your journey. Fog is also a problem at this time of the year, so it's important if you are driving in fog that you slow down and give yourself plenty of distance in front of the car in front of you. We really want you to drive safely, and we do really want you to keep an eye on your eyesight. Someone's eyesight deteriorating can take place over a number of years. The police do have the authority to stop any vehicle on the road and request that their driver submits to a roadside eyesight test. If you fail to do this or fail to pass the test, then your licence may be revoked and you will commit an offence if you continue to drive with a revoked licence, which may be subject to a fine or points on your licence.
Thanks, Mark. Lisa Lewis from Network Rail joins us now, and she's talking about approaching level crossings, particularly in poor weather.
Hi, my name is Lisa Lewis and I'm a Community Safety Manager at Network Rail. Today I'd like to talk to you about level crossing safety. Every level crossing is different. Take time to read the signs and follow the instructions on how to cross safely. To ensure you're able to do this, please always ensure you have cleaned your windscreen properly, especially in icy weather. Ignoring the signs puts yours and others' lives at risk. You could also be breaking the law. There are countless near misses and fatalities every year at level crossings. You and your friends and family must understand and respect the rules to cross safely. Many crossings have red warning lights. You must stop before the barriers. This means a train is approaching. Remember, there may be more than one train coming. Always give yourself longer braking distances in bad weather. Never try and rush over the crossing, as you may not get to the other side in time and could become trapped within the barrier parameters. Always take extra care in adverse weather. Underfoot or road surfaces may have become slippery. When using foot crossings, please always walk carefully single file until you reach the other side, and always get off your bike or scooter and remove any distractions such as headphones. Always ensure you give yourself extra time for your journey, or use an alternative route if safe and able to do so. And remember, always stop, look and listen.
I'm Carol Burns. I'm a driver instructor at Bletchley. I started driving trains in 2002, so I've been driving for coming up to 18 years. It was my first shift back after Christmas. It was a cold, wet January morning. I was on my second trip of the day. I left Millbrook Station, coming up to Marston Level Crossing. I saw the signal go green. I saw the barrier for the crossing come down. Directly in front of me was a car on the crossing. The car was moving. He was on the wrong side of the road because it's a half barrier crossing, so it covers the half side of the road that the car's come along. As the front of my train went onto the crossing and I saw him, I put the brake into emergency and shut the power off. The car driver looked up at me because by now his driver's side window was directly in front of my train. I remember thinking, I'm not going to stop. I hope he's going fast enough to get out of my way. The next thing I remember is the sound of breaking glass as the train hit the car. At this point, the train's coming to a stand, but it was quite a long way over the crossing by this point. I pressed the emergency button on the radio, which stops all trains automatically and puts an emergency call through to the signal box. I then walked back through the train, talking to the passengers, making sure they were all right. When I got to the back of the train, I looked up behind me towards the crossing, and I could just see the mangled wreckage of a car. And I knew, without doubt, that the driver clearly wouldn't make it in that situation. Traffic police were the first people on the scene. Bedfordshire Traffic Police, British Transport Police came, ambulances services arrived, and then the traffic police told me that unfortunately the driver of the car had been pronounced dead at the scene. He took a risk that he didn't need to take. I couldn't stop, but he had the choice to stop before that. The car driver was a middle-aged man. He lived locally. He knew the crossing. He knew the road. He risked his own life, and his poor family, he never went home that day. I was off work for 6 months after the incident. I had to have counselling. At first, I couldn't sleep. When I did sleep, I had horrific nightmares. If I can stop one other person doing that, then it's got to be worth telling you about what happened. It's better to be 5 minutes late for wherever you're going than not to get there at all. Don't ever take the risk of crossing over a level crossing.
Thanks, Lisa. Finally, in this broadcast, we're sharing a film from Blue Light Aware. Crews from the emergency services rely on the help of other road users when they're on a blue light journey. By watching this film, you'll be helping to better understand the needs of emergency drivers, reducing your risks and helping to contribute to safer roads whatever the weather. You may also be helping to save a life.
Police cars, ambulances, fire engines. As drivers, we've probably all experienced situations where the sirens are wailing and the blue lights are flashing. By keeping calm and knowing what to do, we can ensure we stay safe and reduce any unnecessary delays for the emergency vehicle. If you hear a siren or see a blue light, look for somewhere safe to move left and stop. Keep going on the approach to a bend or on the brow of a hill, then pull over when there's a better view ahead. Stay out of bus lanes, keep off curbs and pavements, and don't stop near traffic islands. An emergency driver won't want you to go through a red traffic light. So don't break the law or take any risks by moving past the light. If you're first in the queue at a red light, stay where you are and leave the emergency vehicle to find its way around you. If you're approaching a roundabout or a junction and you see an emergency vehicle, look at its position, as this will let you know where it wants you to go. If you're already at the junction, be patient and wait for it to come past. There may be more than one emergency vehicle approaching the junction, so check before moving off. On a stretch of road with solid white lines, an emergency vehicle will probably switch off its siren as it follows you. This is because the road layout is unsuitable for overtaking, so keep going at the speed limit if it's safe, until you're clear of the solid white lines. When the siren goes on again, that's your cue to let it go past. On motorways and dual carriageways, pull over to the left to allow an emergency vehicle to pass in the outside lane if it's clear. In slow and stationary traffic, emergency vehicles may use the motorway's hard shoulder, so you should only go onto the hard shoulder if you have an emergency of your own. If there is no hard shoulder, with 3 lanes being used, make way for the emergency vehicles by creating an emergency corridor, like this. Stay where you are, as other vehicles are likely to be coming through. On a smart motorway, 1 or more lanes may be closed because of an incident ahead. You'll know because of red X signs above the carriageway. Emergency vehicles will use these lanes if they can. It is illegal to drive in a lane showing a red X, so you should move safely into another lane. If no lanes appear to be closed, be prepared to create an emergency corridor. Rolling roadblocks like this are used where necessary by Police and Highways Authority vehicles if there's an incident ahead. Stay behind these vehicles until they move left and the incident is over. Rest assured they'll get you moving again as soon as it's safe. Here are some simple tips that will help keep you and everyone safe. Stay calm. Make a point of always scanning ahead and behind. This will give you more time to plan, and that'll really help in an emergency. Don't break the law or take risks, however helpful you're trying to be. Emergency vehicles come in all shapes and sizes, so when you pull over and every time you park, make sure there's a large enough space for any emergency vehicle to get through. Have a good look round and be aware of what everyone else is doing. Often there'll be more than one emergency vehicle coming. Listen for different sirens and look all around before moving off. By remaining aware and observant, we get more time to anticipate and plan. We're greatly reducing risks and who knows, maybe helping to save a life.
That brings us to the end of this programme. Firstly, my thanks to you for watching. I hope you found it interesting and useful, and there's something in here that you can take away and do to help to keep yourself safe as a driver. My thanks to all who've contributed to the broadcast. Remember, this programme is available to watch on demand on the Learn Live website at any time for you to view and to share with others. So for now, goodbye and drive safely.
Thank you, Louise, for hosting this extremely important broadcast today. I just want to say another thank you to all the partners who contributed today. Staffordshire Police, Stoke-on-Trent City Council, Staffordshire County Council, Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Service, and Highways England. The tips that have been given today are so important, so thank you. And as Louise said, if you have any questions for any of our speakers today, please leave them in the live chat next to the video player, where they will get back to you as soon as possible. That's all from us today. See you tomorrow as we have more speakers from Staffordshire Fire and Rescue at our usual 10 a.m. slot, as we hear from their partners and agencies. You won't want to miss it. Bye for now.
Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see two symbols appear. The @ symbol will mean your comment or question will be posted publicly for others to see. The email symbol means your comment or question can be sent directly to the person of your choice from the list that will appear. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now this bit is for the parents, guardians and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned. Why have you decided to do this row?
Me personally, a friend of mine called Alex Finn was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's disease when he was 34, and I didn't know anything about Parkinson's at that time, but we had some honest and open discussions about the effect it was going to have on him and his family. I wanted to try and do something to help raise awareness of the fact that you can be diagnosed at any age, but we're also working together at Brooks University to do research into the condition, so this is a continuation of that.
Wonderful. Well, I think that's obviously a very great reason to do this broadcast today. So what has been the most challenging experience since starting the row?
Seasickness. So both Alex and Liz have been struck down by the green monster and not really been able to leave the cabin. We're on day 5 now of the challenge. And both of them, they came out strong. They carried on rowing, and in the end, Scott and I had to ask them or tell them really to stop because they didn't want to stop, but they've been very, very ill. So it's been the case of just trying to work around that. It's fine. Both Scott and I take turns in rowing at the moment because we'd be rowing in pairs normally. So there's just one of us rowing instead of 2. But it's just getting the girls back to a point where they are fit enough to get on yours. There's nothing to do with them wanting to get back on. They're both mad keen to do it. We're having to stop and go on yours. It's just, you can't go hours a day without eating anything.
No, definitely not. Well, hopefully they start feeling better soon.
So today I'm joined with Sam from SAT. Hi, Sam.
Hi, okay.
Sam's just going to give us an introduction to what he does at SAT and why he chose to do an apprenticeship.
Hi, I'm Sam Williams. I'm a process engineering apprentice from PM2 at Oakenholt Mill. And on a day-to-day basis, my tasks involve doing tests on equipment and the paper that we make, checking that it's up to specification. They also help with issues on the paper machine, and they also get projects which we work on, which make improvements on the machine.
What activities do you get involved with off the hand of that? So how's your everyday work looking like?
Every day we have a morning meeting, and once we go into that, we get jobs for the day. These include issues from the day before, and I also find out which tests need doing on that day. And after that, I go down the paper machine, check that it's all running okay, and carry out a couple of tests and work on my projects.
That sounds good. So I'm going to take you back a bit. What was the application process like for you when you were applying for the apprenticeship?
The application process for me was very friendly yet professional. When I come on site for the interview, I found that everyone was very friendly and helped me get a good idea of what the company was like to work for.
And what qualifications are you studying as part of your apprenticeship, and where do you study?
I'm currently doing a Performing Manufacturing Operations Level 2, which is site-based, and then once I've completed that, I'll be moving on to Process Industry Operations. That's a Level 3. I'll also be site-based. And once I've completed both of those, I'll be moving on to a BTEC Level 3 in Manufacturing. That'll require me to go to college, Cambria, 1 day a week, and the college tutor comes to site to assess me.
Perfect. So what has been your most memorable experience from your apprenticeship?
The most memorable experience of my apprenticeship has definitely been my fogger spray bar project, which was due to the high levels of dust that we were having. And I created a fogger spray bar, which spray a mist of water and air onto the back of one of the blades, which would catch all the airborne dust particles and take them into a tank under the machine.
And how did you find that? Was that quite challenging?
It was challenging. It was good because I had the opportunity to really prove myself to my colleagues, and I had to contact different contractors and different things for them to come in and work on it, which is really interesting.
Do you ever look back and think you wanted to stay in higher education instead? Did you just want to always do an apprenticeship?
Sometimes I do think that I would have liked to go to university and enjoy like the university lifestyle and stuff like that. But I feel like an apprenticeship was definitely the best idea for me because it helped open different doors and opportunities, and you get the experience as well as earning money at the same time. I definitely prefer being in a work environment over a school environment because I feel like you're given a lot more responsibility, which results in taking a lot more pride in your work.
Yeah, so anyone who might have been in your position back at school or college, what would you say to them to be successful in getting an apprenticeship?
I'd recommend taking time on your CV, really sell yourself and make yourself look good.
Perfect. Well, that's all we've got time for today. So thank you so much, Sam, for joining us.
If they're being bullied, then they definitely need to speak to a trusted adult, whether it's in school or at home. If it's in school, the school will have a policy on bullying, and the school need to be seen to be doing something about it. So whoever it is, they need to tell somebody, or it could continue to happen if they don't tell somebody about it.
Yeah, I think also just sort of trying to access sort of information and support in other ways as well, because I think sometimes at first it can be a little bit frightening to the thought of talking about it, the thought of telling somebody, and it's about sort of do some research, have a look at, there's lots and lots of online resources for young people specifically to access through Minds and Young Minds, through places like Childline, and I think I would definitely encourage a young person to sort of do that research, access those resources and get some support that way as well. And that might sort of help if they're a little bit apprehensive to talk to someone, sort of that would be a good place to start. But definitely talking to someone and telling someone what's happening is really, really important.
And a lot of the schools that I'm employed in, they will have a lot of resources, say that I've developed or other people have developed available on their website, so that it's easy access then for pupils, they know. And also information available around school, resources, making resources available around school. And I even say within the libraries in school, having self-help type literature, books in and around mental health and well-being, just again, that pupils can access.
Yeah.
I just ask, deep down, what is the reason for doing this for you? 'Cause I know you said it's about research. Is that the big thing for you?
The research, and also ever since I was diagnosed, I wanted a platform to stand on, to sort of say, but to say to people, it's not the end of your life. It's actually the beginning of a new chapter. And this has been the platform really for me to stand on. And the row is like something that people don't do every day. So it does grab people's attention, and it is, and has done, raised awareness for Parkinson's. I live in a small village in Liverpool, and literally everyone has got on board. They all know exactly what's going on. The boat came up, we saw the boat. So even if it only helps in that respect, it's raised awareness.
We've got behind us here Brainwaves. So just tell us a little bit more about this.
So the Brainwaves Challenge is, as you said before, 2 oceans. The first one that I'm involved in is all to raise awareness for Parkinson's, and it's part of a research programme. So they're trying to see how exercise and food affects Parkinson's disease. So they've found that the exercise and the right type of food helps with the Parkinson's. So I've been part of the research programme for 6 months now, and for the last 6 months I've changed my food and I've taken up every ounce of exercise, and it's massively changed my life. I know everybody goes on saying you should eat the right food and eat 5 fruit and veg a day and exercise, but actually that is the right way to go. If everybody ate a little bit healthier, then we might all see the benefits. So this whole project is all about that. And the actual row itself is to raise awareness of Parkinson's, which is why we're here today.